Zettel für die lange Weg. 2 Flaschen Whisky für die Zeit. Und ich den gern habe, du bist dabei. Maria geht, fahrt mal weg, ist weit. Wann ich geh, ich werd dir fehlen, wann ich geh. Du sehst nicht, was ich mach, du sehst nicht, wie ich lach. Ich werd dir fehlen, du watsch sehen. Hab kriegt mein Zettel für den langen Weg. Du schönste, als mir finden kann. Es hat Maria und Dale ganz wunderbar. Als ich dir den weißen dann, wann ich geh, ich werd dir fehlen, wann ich geh. Du sehst nicht, was ich mach, du sehst nicht, wie ich lach. Ich werd dir fehlen, du watsch sehen.
Well, gute Abend, lieber Leute, and welcome to PA Dutch Live from October. Ay. Good evening and welcome to another edition of PA Dutch Live. It is our October show. Now, I know, for those of you that are regular watchers of the show, it feels like we haven't had an episode in forever, and I have to apologize because the last episode we had back in September was in the middle of the month, and usually we have our shows in the middle of the month, but the month of October was beyond full for me. For those of you that follow along on social media, you probably heard or realized that for the last 10 plus days, I think it was 11 days total, I was in charge of 18 high schoolers from Germany who were here visiting my high school where I teach, doing an exchange program. So 18 teenagers plus their 2 teachers who are good friends of mine were recently with us for 10 days. They got to spend some time in our school and experience typical American high school. We also took them on some field trips, but it's a lot. And because of that, I had to block out about 2.5 weeks of my October, which meant I had to push our edition of PA Dutch Live for October back to the end of the month. But I'm here. We're here. And it's a great episode. I can't wait to get into the episode tonight. We have an awesome guest. One of our, she has to be like the crown guest because she's been on so many times because she's so good, and you guys are always like, bring her back, and I'll get to that here in a minute. But we like to start every episode out the same way. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. If this is your 14th time joining us, welcome as well. Let me give some shout outs to people that are joining us. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, you can put in the comment section. Please tell me where you're joining us from. If you're watching on the Facebook page, do the same thing down in the comment section. Let's throw some shout outs to the people that are joining us tonight. Our good friend and my distant cousin, Carol Cantner. Good evening from beautiful downtown Burnville. Carol, I don't know what it's like in Burnville, but here at my house today, we were almost 80 degrees at the end of October. It was a beautiful day. Hopefully it's as beautiful in beautiful Burnville. Norman Jung, our good friend, staying up late. Gute Abend aus Steinbach am Glan, Germany. I saw on social media, Norman, you just got back from a nice quick trip to London. The photos looked great. Joyce Ann Hamilton. Greetings from Gettysburg. Whoa, one of my favorite places. Thanks for joining us tonight. Our good friend Dolly Moyer joins us every month. Hello from Fleetwood in beautiful. Everything's beautiful tonight. Berks County. Berks County is beautiful, of course. Bill aus Dillsburg, he joins us every week, every month as well. Gute Abend und freilich Reformationstag aus Yarrick County. Oh, that's great, Bill. Yes, for those who don't understand Pennsylvania, she's saying good evening and happy Reformation Day from York County. Tomorrow is a Reformation Day. You can either celebrate Halloween if you choose to, but if you're a good Lutheran like me, you should also tip the hat to old Marty Luther back in 1517 and celebrating Reformation Day. Thanks for that, Bill. That made me laugh. Rachel Wiswesser joins us every month. Hello from Fleetwood to the whole Wiswesser crew out there in the beautiful Fleetwood area. And finally, Lenora Holt. Good evening from Florida. Lenora, I hope you've joined us many times before. I hope that you survived both of those hurricanes well and didn't have any damage to your home. I'm not quite sure where in Florida you live, but I was watching from Pennsylvania. Hopefully everything worked out well for you and your family. And good evening from What's Up Buttercup, hollering in from North Carolina as well. What's up, Buttercup? Not sure what part of North Carolina you're in, but I'm hope that you survived the hurricane that came through, the remnants of that hurricane that destroyed so much of Western North Carolina. Thinking of all of you guys in those areas that were hit hard. Hey, great. If you're joining us and you didn't put a shout out in there yet, put it in. We'll get to it eventually, but let's get to the meat and potatoes tonight. and that is we have our friend, our very special guest, Candace Perry, will be joining us again. This time she's going to be talking about something that I really like to do, eat yourself full. Well, actually, she'll be describing why it's called that and what we're going to get into here tonight. But a couple things for your Pennsylvania Dutch calendars, because there's a lot coming up. It's that time of year. There is a lot coming up. But first, I've been doing this now every month. I'm now like to give a shout out to somebody that, or some group or business that is sponsoring tonight's episode. And tonight's episode is brought to us by the good people at the Colonial Theater in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. And I'll be giving them another shout out here a little bit. But we would like to thank the Colonial Theater for their support in bringing us tonight's episode. Mark your calendars. I'm going to shout right back out to the Colonial Theater. If you are in the greater Phoenixville area, this coming Sunday at 4 p.m. at the Colonial Theater, in conjunction with Historic Trap, who we had on as a guest before, Lisa Minardi, there, the director at Historic Trap, we will be showing the movie Hibbivy Driva, The Roots of Pennsylvania Dutch. If you haven't seen that film, it is a documentary film that tells the story of the Pennsylvania Dutch. I am the main character in the film as I go searching for the history of our culture, both here in Pennsylvania and back in the part of Germany where we come from. So that will be being shown at 4 o'clock, this Sunday the 3rd at the Colonial Theater in Phoenixville. You can get your tickets ahead online. You can also get tickets the day of the event. We'll show the movie, and then I'll be doing a Q&A session with the audience about the film and about Pennsylvania Dutch and anything anybody has any questions about. So if you're able to, we'd love to have you join us. All proceeds will benefit Historic Trap, Pennsylvania. Another thing for your calendar that involves me, but put it on there. If you were in the greater Shartlesville area, what northern Berks County, western Berks County, Lebanon area, all that area, we will be having a Pennsylvania Dutch Heritage Worship Service at Frieden's Church right there on Wolf Creek Road in Shartlesville on the 17th of November. 9 a.m. for coffee hour, 10 a.m. for the worship. The church service will be a traditional church service, but it'll be a mix of English and Pennsylvania Dutch. The sermon will be in English, so even if you don't speak Pennsylvania Dutch, you'll be able to understand what's going on. All 3 hymns that we'll be singing will be sung in both lyrics, both in English and in Pennsylvania Dutch. It's just an awesome opportunity to worship if that's one of the things that you like to do, and also give a nod to our Pennsylvania Dutch heritage. So November the 17th, please put that on your calendars. Oh, real quick, another shout out to a good friend of ours, David Hunsinger, joining us from Macunchie. Good to have you, my friend. Good to have you, my friend. Some other things for your Pennsylvania Dutch calendars. The 33, the 33rd Ole Dal Versamling, the Ole Valley Versamling, will take place on November the 23rd at 1 p.m. there at the Ole Valley Fair Center. Tickets are $25. You can find their information online, or you can give a call to our good friend Tom Stokes, who was on the show before, at 610-987-3153. Also, it's almost Christmas time, and a lot of places are setting up to have their Christmas events, and I want to give them shout outs too. Our good friends at the historic Ephrata Cloister will be presenting their Christmas at the Cloister Monday, December 9th and Tuesday, December 10th. So you'd have 2 opportunities at 6:30 and 8 p.m. each night. Tickets are $8 per person. Mark your calendars. You can get more information from their website. It is a lessons and carols holiday program featuring the Ephrata Cloister Chorus. If you've never heard them sing, what a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful opportunity. Please check them out. Another Christmas themed event, save the date. The Goshenhoppen historians will be having their Christmas market on December 7th and 8th. You can learn more at their website, goshenhoppen.org. And if you're looking for a Christmas gift, the Pennsylvania German Cultural Heritage Center at Kutztown University has recently released their 2025 Pennsylvania Dutch calendar. This year's calendar features the art of the famous Pennsylvania Dutch folk artist Gladys Lutz and her paintings of Mir lebe und schaffe auf die Bauerei. We live and work on the farm. Those calendars are available through the Pennsylvania German Cultural Heritage Center at Kutztown University. You can follow them online and also on Facebook. Another Christmas event, the Lower Paxton Christkindlmarkt, so a traditional German-style Christmas market. I will be emceeing all of the entertainment that day on Saturday, December 14th in the historic village of Lingelstown, which is there between Hershey and Harrisburg. It'd be a great opportunity. Hopefully the weather will behave, but you can come on out to that and mark your calendars as well. Tomorrow is Reformation Day, as we were told, but it's also Halloween. So if you want to wish somebody a happy Halloween tomorrow, here's your Pennsylvania Dutch quick lesson, mini lesson. You would say to somebody, Halleja, Spukovid, Halleja, Spukovid, which literally means happy ghost evening. Spuk is a ghost or a specter or something along those lines. So yeah, happy Halloween. Halleja, Spukovid. There we go. All right. Our hee-haw style salute this month is to beautiful Annville, the town of Annville in Lebanon County, Pennsylvania, founded in 1845 with a population, as far as I could find, 4,767 people. So a hee-haw style salute to the good people in Annville in beautiful Lebanon County. Oh, we got to give a couple more shout outs real quick, and then we're going to get to our wonderful friend Bio T, who joins us every month. Hello, it's Todd from Tucson, Arizona. You got it. Doug Dockey says, got my calendar. Nice. Great. I hope you have all those dates on, and I hope I can run into you at one of those events. Doug, it'd be good to see you again. Real quick, BW Main says, can you post that movie at some point in the future on your YouTube to educate others who are far away to learn about Pennsylvania Dutch? BW Marine, thank you for asking about that. Really quickly, I will say to anybody that is interested in seeing the movie that can't make it to Phoenixville, for example, the movie is available to stream on Amazon. So if you have an Amazon account, you can rent the film. I'm not quite sure what it is right now. I think at one point it was like 99 cents to rent, and you can watch the movie on Amazon. So that's an opportunity. I can't post the movie on my YouTube channel because of copyright laws with the directors who I just can't do that. But you definitely can check it out on Amazon for anyone that's interested. We got to get to our guest. Candace Perry is, we know her from so many episodes of PA Dutch Live because she's such a great guest. And we've had her on and she's talked about the Schwenkfelders. We had her on and she talked about Broadway shows that were Pennsylvania Dutch themed. Both of those episodes were so well received by the audience. And she reached out and said, Doug, I got another topic if you want it. And I was like, absolutely, Candace. So we're going to bring her on to talk about her presentation here. I'm going to bring her into the studio. Candace, you've been waiting patiently. It's so good to see you again, my friend.
You too, Doug. You too.
So how are things at the Schwenkfelder real quick? We'll talk shop before we get into your presentation.
Very busy, very busy. We're doing a lot of planning and preparing, and we are also getting ready for our Christmas market that we do in conjunction with Gosh and Hoppin' Historians. There's, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 organizations in Montgomery County that do their Christmas market on that weekend.
Oh my goodness.
And people can go from one to the other. It's us, Gosh and Hoppin', the Mennonite Heritage Center, Peter Wentz Farmstead, and Historic Trap. So we all get together and do that on the same weekend.
Boy, as you list those things, all of those people or the organizations have been on the show except for the Mennonite Heritage Center. So I'm gonna have to hit them up at some point and get them on the show too.
There's some very smart people there.
Oh, sounds good, Candace. So before we get into your presentation, which I'm really excited to hear about, let's talk really quickly about what the topic. Like, just give us a brief overview of why this topic, why you came up with this topic, and what kind of pushed you in the direction to really look into this stuff.
Yeah, I am very interested, and I think I said this before when I talked about the Broadway shows, on how outsiders perceived the Pennsylvania Dutch in the 20th century, because there really wasn't much said about them until the 20th century, and then there was a lot said about them for a variety of reasons, and also how the Pennsylvania Dutch identified themselves in the 20th century. So those two things. And food, of course, was and still is one of the main cultural identifiers for the Pennsylvania Dutch. And of course, outsiders then found that out in the early 20th century. So eat yourself full was actually, I guess it's a slogan that I've heard a lot over the years, but it was a slogan that was used, and I'm not sure if it's still there, but on the buffet in Miller's buffet, the Smorgasbord in Lancaster County. So that was used. And it's just such a good Dutchy phrase.
Yeah, it is.
So
the only one that I think's better, or not even better, but on par with it is eat till it ouches.
Yes. Or I heard another one that maybe it'll come to me during the course. It was something like shovel it in or something, which seemed appropriately farm.
Yeah, farm related.
Farm
Yeah,
mess.
exactly right. So I guess I'd ask you this question too. Like you have these topics that you're really interested in, and for someone that's not in your line of work, how do you even begin to go find things? Where do you go to look for stuff to try and tell these stories?
Well, that's a very good question. Usually I find a thread of something somewhere. Um, and then I start picking apart that thread and looking for more information. Sometimes it starts with a book I've read, or I saw mention of something online, or often it's newspapers. It's vintage newspapers from the 20th century from Pennsylvania. And that often leads me down a lot of rabbit holes. We were talking about my rabbit holes today at work, where I am able to dissect these topics, and so I can present them in some way. Because I know I come across weird things, I have to admit. And this one isn't particularly weird. It's not something that people talk about particularly. It's the Pennsylvania Dutch food experience in the 20th century, which involved not only restaurants but also convenience foods that were made specifically for the Pennsylvania Dutch market, and also for others, if they wanted to try Pennsylvania Dutch foods. And all the marketing that went along with these things, which was also often Dutchified.
Yeah. Well, I think in food, out of any aspect of any culture, food is the most approachable out of any of
It
them.
is.
Language is a tough one, because either Pennsylvania Dutch, or you have to really learn it or study it, or you have to have some kind of connection to it. But anybody can eat our food. And I also think, and I've had many conversations with other people about this too, but there's nothing that has more of a visceral reaction for people too than food, whether it's smelling something that you haven't smelled cooked in a long time, or of course taste and how powerful that sense is. So I think it's a great topic, because everybody can connect to it, whether you like red beet eggs or you don't. You have a reaction to it, right? If somebody mentions shoe fly pie, it's either going to be, oh, I love shoe fly pie, or it's like, oh, I don't even like that stuff. So it's great. I would imagine that as you were doing this research, there had to be part of that in you too. I know growing up Pennsylvania Dutch, I mean, food was part of everything, right?
Yeah, and I'll never forget the smell of potato filling in the Robizonia Elementary School cafeteria.
Isn't it weird?
That's visceral.
It actually is.
It was terrible potato filling. It had nothing to do with potato filling, but it was their potato filling that the lunch ladies made. And it had a certain smell.
Yeah, sure. I'll share one anecdote from a good friend of the channel, Terry Berger, who cooks in the summer kitchen at the Cultural Heritage Center. He also cooks at the Folk Festival. He does these meals where you can buy a ticket, and then he'll do everything like on a wood burning stove, the old traditional way. And he told me the story one time. He was making a lunch at the Folk Festival, and people had bought tickets. And he started off with a simple salad, just greens from the garden, and a very simple, typical Pennsylvania Dutch salad dressing, which you probably know. It's vinegar, it's sugar, it's mayonnaise, salt, pepper. It's simple. And he had these eight adults around the table, and he served the salad, and then he went back to cooking whatever, getting the main part of the meal ready. And as he looked back at the people and asked if everything's okay, this one older gentleman, he said the guy was probably in his 70s or 80s, was sitting there crying.
Aww.
And Terry thought something was wrong, like maybe broke a tooth or something, who knows. And he went over to the gentleman and he said, "Is everything okay, sir?" And the guy looked at him, tears in his eyes, and said, "I haven't tasted this since I was a kid. And this salad dressing took me right back to my mom's kitchen or my grandmother's kitchen." And it's just like, I don't think anything other than food can transport us like that. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. All right, so what did you learn? Let's see what Candace has to share with us here today.
So what I'm going to be talking about is a section of a program that I do that's called Eat Yourself Full. But because we don't want to do that whole program, and we can't tonight, instead I am going to talk about a Pennsylvania Dutch food palace, which I know some of you who are here tonight, probably Carol in particular, was familiar with.
I am too.
You are familiar with it?
Yeah, I only grew up 5 miles from Shartlesville, and when I was a kid, the hotel was still in business and still open.
Yes,
So.
yes, it was in business until let me see, 2009, I believe.
Yeah.
Not the same kind of place, but this place was a phenomenon of major proportions. I know you're thinking, how can an old hotel in Shartlesville of all places, and you were talking about Shartlesville tonight, and I was very glad, become such a well-known establishment, but it was. And of course, there was the other hotel in Shartlesville named Hague's, and that was the one I was able to go to. I never went to Shartlesville. And somebody said to me when I last did this program, well, Hague's was for the locals and Shartlesville was for the tourists, but I think at some point they were both for the tourists.
Yeah.
But you can see, as I said, this was before the buffets in Lancaster County, long before the buffets, there was this hotel and Hague's Hotel. But tonight I'm going to talk about this one in particular. And what made the Shartlesville Hotel, which had been in business, I think, for about 20 years, but was an article in Esquire magazine in 1935. And that's what that's describing in that Pennsylvania Guide to the Keystone State, where a journalist came to the Shartlesville Hotel via Route 22, when Route 22 was open, and came to the Shartlesville Hotel and enjoyed a meal there. And this became a catalyst for tourism, as many other things in this area did also become. Roadside America, of course, was there not too long afterwards. That came about not too long afterwards. So, but the hotel was certainly the place where people wanted to go after reading that article. So if you'll go to the next slide, Doug. Okay, so here is the 1935 menu for the Shartlesville Hotel that was described by this journalist, F. Gregory Hartwick. And as you can see, these were all dishes, recipes that were made, could be made in bulk because of the sheer amount of people who were coming to the Shartlesville Hotel for meals. And he called his article Trencherman's Paradise, and it appeared in Esquire in December of 1935. But these were his descriptions. Some things he said, chicken patties described as ravioli. Who knows what he meant by that? Buvashenkel, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Potato filling, he of course added in the chickpeas looking something like hominy and with a distinct nutty flavor. I'm not sure if I know what that was. That actual chickpeas? I don't know. That's not something that my family would have eaten.
No, yeah, mine either. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, but all of these things, and I loved his description of the donuts, the big, round, feathery, powdered local boys. So this, and I believe this was available for $1. Yes, I have it there for $1 in 1935. So during the Depression, this would have been a great bargain, I hope. Well, not for many people, probably couldn't come up with $1, but I'm sure for the tourists that were coming through from New York and other places in Philadelphia and so forth, I'm sure this was seen as a great deal. Okay, let's go to the next one. So here, and as I was saying, the Shartlesville Hotel continued to be a very famous place and even had their Fosnack recipe published in the Ford Motor Cookbook in around 1950. And also during that time, during the 50s, I believe, they had another article in a national magazine that continued to inspire people to come here. The prices went up just a little bit. Let me see. In 1960s, it was $3 for basically the same menu. And for those of you who don't know, that postcard in the middle is a very good representation of what you would have on your table. It was family style food. My mother would have hated that. She hated family style. How we ever even got to Haig's Hotel, I don't know, because I guess somebody was visiting us who wanted to go, because she was not Pennsylvania Dutch, so she did not go for this kind of thing. But they also emphasize that idea of the 7 sweets and 7 sours. That was some sort of marketing ploy that someone came up with at some point, probably inspired by an Amish table where they had all those different condiments out. I remember, and I don't know, Doug, if you had this too, but my old people in my family would put out little bowls of things on the table at meals, and they were often funny things like potato chips. There'd be a little bowl of potato chips, and there'd be red beet eggs, or there'd be some sort of relish.
Olives would always be on the table in a little, but in little bowls. You're right. No, I had the exact same experience.
But whether they were 7 and 7, that to me sounds very much like a tourist ploy. I know that people have sought to figure out where this came from. I think it was a 20th century invention that someone thought would bring tourists in, and you had to, because you had to have this 7 and 7, and I don't believe that was true. I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, my grandparents never had 7 and 7, but there was always an equal, like an even number. So if there was 2 sours, there'd be 2 sweets or something,
right?
Like that. Balance, harmony, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, applesauce, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, but only my old people, my great aunts and grandfather who lived in Robizonia and lived on the former family farm. They were the only ones who did that. Nobody else in my life did it. Okay, let's go to the next one. So this is a quote from a columnist for the Pittsburgh Press in 1957 that is absolute heresy. How dare they, really?
Right. I take offense. A
paste. And so this is what of course they served potato filling at the Shartlesville Hotel in great quantities, I'm sure. But then, interestingly, when I was doing a little more research today to sort of fill out this program a little bit, I found a 1999 quote from a Binghamton, New York paper that is really nasty.
Oh, no. Fire away.
Shoe fly pie, for the uninitiated, is a mixture of molasses and spackling compound poured into a pie shell, and here's the strange thing, and festooned with pecans. I've never had pecans on shoe fly pie.
No, I haven't either.
Yeah,
I haven't either.
So,
nor have I ever had it with spackling paste. My goodness.
But honestly, the people, it's also interesting as to how much they did not understand. The outsiders did not understand a lot of the food traditions. Certainly, they wouldn't have understood why pot pie was called pot pie.
Right.
That was certainly something that always confused people, because those pot pies had a crust. And I find that very amusing, but very annoying at the same time.
You'll appreciate this comment from one of our viewers. Jim Beidler says, my parents had the same opinion on family style. If I wanted that, I'd cook it at home.
Even my Pennsylvania Dutch father, I don't think he liked it either. He liked to be served his plate. He did not. Yeah. He didn't like buffets. Heaven forfend we go to a buffet. I don't know what he would have thought had he seen the buffet explosion as it is today.
Yeah.
I don't know. But he did not like. He wanted his wife to serve him his plate, or me, or my sister.
Right.
Okay, and then the next one. And so this is something that interested me very much, and what I got to thinking about a bit lately was when in 1956, Route 78 got to Shartlesville. Okay, they started in Lebanon, I guess, and then got to the Shartlesville exit. So that meant essentially the end of old Route 22, which formerly was the way to get to the hotel, to Roadside America, and to Crystal Cave.
Yeah.
So they, after that, they made the local tourist bureaus and local politicians made a concerted effort to draw attention to Route 22 by calling it, and you probably are very familiar with this, the Hex Highway. And to name it, to make sure that the tourists continued to come. I have this ad up because this was a ad for a bus trip for only $6 in 1975. You could come all the way out here from central New Jersey to visit. But the Hex Highway was a real attempt to drive tourism not only to these places, but other places like Hawk Mountain and restaurants. The Dijek, when that was, or the Lenhartsville Hotel, whatever it was years ago. It's interesting, the information about the Hex Highway that I found out, that some politicians were very opposed to it being named the Pennsylvania Dutch Hex Highway, because this had to be done in the state legislature to have this name put on it. And it was originally meant to be the Pennsylvania Dutch Hex Highway. But a representative from Lancaster County said, no, it shouldn't be Pennsylvania Dutch because there are more Pennsylvania Dutch in Lancaster County than in Berks and Lehigh. Wow.
And he won out, I guess.
What?
And he won out.
Yeah, he won. And yes, and it just became, of course, the Hex Highway. And then some Italian representatives suggested it be named for Michelangelo. So I don't know what that was all about. In the interest of ethnic diversity,
I guess
there's always a joker in every situation.
Absolutely. You know, it's great when you look at this. I mean, how we were marketing. You know, if somebody got on that bus in central New Jersey, they were getting the whole Northern Berks experience there with Crystal Cave, Roadside America, and then a meal at Shartlesville Hotel.
Right. It was quite the thing. And this is just one ad. They were coming from New York, from Brooklyn, and probably not from Manhattan, but Brooklyn. They were coming out from Pittsburgh. It was a real tourist destination for many years. And they kept trying to revive it. And the Hex Highway boosters really made a concentrated effort from about the late 60s, because I don't think that designation occurred until around 68 or 70.
Okay.
They made a real concentrated effort to keep getting the tourists in, and every so often you would see brochures or more emphasis on it every couple of years, and continued well into the 2000s. But I think it was the decline of the hotels that really affected the Hex Highway. And there's nothing, I guess Crystal Cave is left, of course.
Sure.
And if you consider going to the folk festival part of it, but so much of it is gone. What there was.
I mean, this is a prime example. When we look at this, Roadside America's gone. Shartlesville Hotel now is apartments.
Is it? I didn't even know that.
I'm pretty sure. The Hague's Hotel still stands there, but when they closed the doors, they haven't done anything with the building since, and that's going on. I don't remember how many years it's been now since Hague's closed, but yeah, I mean, all these things are no longer able to. Crystal Cave is still there, like you said, but the Hex Highway is not what it was, and I highly doubt any of these things will ever come back either. When we look at this, and that's what always interests me too. And I think we talk about this aspect. I think that might be your last slide. Yeah. So yes, I want to pull this out and just talk with you a little bit about some of these things. So everybody watching this show knows about Shady Maple and all these. I mean, so this tradition has not died out now. Particularly Shartlesville Hotel has, of course. Do you think it's that food aspect to it that makes these that we still have places like a Shady Maple, which is the Shartlesville Hotel on steroids. I mean, yeah, absolutely. And I always forget the name of the other. Good and Plenty, I guess, I think it is the name of the other one there in Lancaster.
That one I think is out of business.
Oh, that one's out of business too.
It's
okay.
Miller's and Yoder's, and then I guess the Hershey one that burned, and now it's back again. And my favorite, which is not a giant place, is Diener's on Route 30. So if you haven't been to Diener's, people, it's the place. It's the real place.
Yeah, go there. Nothing against Shady Maple, but Shady Maple truly is a tourist destination more than anything else. Diener's is good. Yeah, absolutely.
But definitely the buffets or smorgasbords, whatever you choose to call them, are a continuation of this idea of the family style restaurant, which who knows, maybe they can't even do anything like that anymore because of health codes. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be it. I don't know if you're right. I mean, that probably, and then, even if they were doing it before COVID, once COVID hit, I'm sure that totally changed everything too in regards to how they would serve food like this. Yeah. It's a crazy great topic. There are a lot of people here. I mean, Carol worked at Roadside America, and she said people ate there before or after they visited Roadside America. Yes. Carol, I bet there were people that did both. Maybe.
They went for breakfast, and then they went and visited Roadside America.
Exactly right. Briny or Brinny Foster says, "Oh gosh, I remember the Shartlesville Hotel as a kid. I loved the large pearl tapioca pudding. Oof, my grandmother made great large pearl tapioca pudding." And Gail Schultz says, "I've been there for a delicious family style meal, probably in the 1950s. I can't imagine what those places must have been like in that time period, to go back and see as these tourists, come into contact with some of these foods for the first time. What would the reactions be? I mean, we have a couple of, pretty nasty write-ups about, but I'm sure there were people that absolutely loved the stuff too, or fell in love with it.
They kept coming back. I think think especially for city people who probably ate like my family did, where the plate was put down in front of you. This was really probably a novelty to have all those dishes served to you, and just the food in general was a novelty.
And
I
think
don't know
about
if you've seen there's a commercial for Lancaster County that's out right now for Lancaster County tourism. I see it a lot. I don't have regular cable. I have streamers, and it pops up on the streamers now and then. And one of the things it focuses on, I think there's a couple, and they're in one of the buffets. I don't know which one. And they say, "Yum, wonderful Pennsylvania Dutch food." So, and they're not eating anything that looks Dutch, in my opinion. It looks like they have something fried and applesauce. I don't know.
Yeah, right. I also think too, if you think back to what that must have been like at the Shartlesville Hotel, for example, for these people that were being bussed in from Central Jersey or New York or wherever, Shartlesville, as you know as well as I do, you're in the country, and this idea of home cooked food, fresh from the farm. This was an experience that probably a lot of them never would have got. They only, I think that was part of the allure too, I'm sure. If you're driving along Hex Highway, it's all farmland, and then all of a sudden you come to this restaurant where it's right downtown, and having all that fresh food and fresh pastries and baked goods. I can imagine there was part of that there for those tourists as well. And maybe they thought it's
still there today. That lure of that idea that it's farm fresh. In Lancaster County, where this is the only place where it survives. I mean, it doesn't survive. Oh, well, die check, but other than that, it really isn't.
Yeah, anywhere. There's not too many. There really aren't too many places left. Right. You're absolutely right, and it's tricky. I've talked to a lot of people that are in the food industry in Berks County and in the Pennsylvania Dutch region, and some places they'll have a couple items on the menu, but to find a restaurant that's the whole menu is purely Pennsylvania Dutch food, I don't know if besides maybe that, but even the Die Check has some other non-Pennsylvania Dutch foods on their item, so on their menu. So I don't know. I think it would be tough for a restaurant these days just to really specialize in just Pennsylvania Dutch cooking, even though it would be delicious.
I apologize. He came out of nowhere.
It was like, it's our Halloween episode. We had the black, it looked like a black cat cross. It's perfect. Yeah, or at least a dark cat. Well, Candace, again, these topics you come up with are just so great because it makes us think, how many of us were sitting there out there and we could taste one of these things we talked about? Or when Candace, when you said about smelling that potato filling, and in a cafeteria, boy, that just had me thinking exactly what that must have smelled like.
Oh, and that wasn't like paste. It was more like glue. It was gluey. And I could never figure out how they were making it. And it was very peppery, which for young kids, that wasn't
Yeah.
particularly appealing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It wasn't the
great.
potato filling from the Kinzer household. That's
Yeah,
no.
Candace, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you,
on
Doug.
and giving us. I just love having you on the show. I just love you, Candace. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And if you have another, you find something else you're really interested in, and you think the audience would enjoy it, you reach out and we'll get you on the show again for sure.
Actually, I do have one that's very bizarre, and it is
Ooh.
fashion of the mid-20th century that was inspired by Pennsylvania Dutch, either motifs or actual garments.
Candace, early 2025, because I have guests for November and December, but once the new year hits, the calendar's wide open, Candace. I'd love to have that conversation. We'll be in touch.
Okay.
But if anybody wants to learn more about your organization, give the Schwenkfelders a plug real quick.
Yeah. Okay. So please come. We're in Pennsburg in Montgomery County, 105 Seminary Street, Pennsburg, 18073, and online www.schwenkfelder.org, and also find us on Facebook under the Schwenkfelder. And also, let me do another plug real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our great Pennsylvania Dutch scholar, Alan Kaiser, is publishing a book on Pennsylvania Dutch cookery through the Schwenkfelder Library and Heritage Center. And it should be available in the coming weeks, fingers crossed. It's an enormous book. It's a definitive book discussing 18th and early 19th century Pennsylvania Dutch cookery. It's an extraordinary lifelong effort of Alan's, and we're very proud to be publishing it for him. So if you're interested, we have taken a lot of reservations, so not sure how many copies are left, but contact us. You can contact us at info@schwenkfelder.org if you're interested in a copy.
Alan's work is wonderful for anyone that's not familiar with his stuff. So absolutely, this will be a seminal. Might be the right word. I'm sure.
I think it is.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's great to hear. I wasn't aware that was coming out. Wonderful. So, guys, get on, and you can follow Schwenkfelders on Facebook and Instagram. They're on social media as well. They do a lot of really great posting on there where you can learn about all the great things that they have to offer there in beautiful Montgomery County. I'll be down really close to you guys on Sunday. I don't think I'll be able to swing in, but we will figure out a time to make it down in 2025 and maybe shoot a video down there for the YouTube channel. That'd be fun. But we're going to have you on in early 2025 again, Candace. We're going to learn all about that topic that you just talked about. I look forward to it. Since I probably won't see you till then, have a very blessed and happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays and all that stuff for around the corner.
You too, Doug, and to everyone out there too.
Thank you, Candace.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Mock Scoot. People, this is why we have her on, because she's great. She's great. I know it. We got tons of people to give shout outs to that came in late. Gary Weaver, hello from Egypt. That's Egypt, Pennsylvania, people. Egypt, Pennsylvania. We have Aurelius CLXXXX. Hello from Miami. We got Florida representative. Cynthia Cruz. Hello from Spokane, Washington. Christian Deems. Hello from Pennsylvania. I know, Christian. I'm glad that you gave a shout out tonight. That's awesome. What else we got here? Joyce, Hamilton Hickory Bridge Farm in Ortana, west of Gettysburg, still offers family style meals. So there you go. If you get out there to the Gettysburg area, you can check that out. The Whiswet Rachel says at Kutztown High School, the filling was homemade by the ladies in the kitchen and the smell was so good. That was over 30 years ago. I wonder, Rachel, if they're still serving up homemade potato filling at Kutztown High School. I have a friend that teaches there. I'm going to ask him when this show is over. And also shout out to Deborah Hickman from York, but now in Jacksonville. Boy, Florida is really, really well represented. Christian says, hey, my friend Mark also wants a shout out. Hey, Mark, there's your shout out. How's that sound? Every month, I bring you guys something Pennsylvania Dutch language related. We already learned Halige Spuko, which is Happy Halloween. But this month, I'd like to bring another poem to you. And we haven't had a poem by this guy in a while, Para Isaac Stahr. So Para's pastor in Pennsylvania Dutch. This Saturday night, we will be turning our clocks back So you get an extra hour of sleep, but that also means starting next week, it's going to get dark really early. So I thought this is a perfect poem since we're turning the clocks back. It is Die Alt Uhr, which translates into the old clock. And I'm going to read the Pennsylvania Dutch. It's on the left-hand side. You can read either the Pennsylvania Dutch if you understand it, or the right-hand side has the English translation. It's a great little poem from Para Isaac Stahr called Die Alt Uhr. Here we go, people. Die Alt Uhr hängt dort an der Wand. Ihr Gesicht ist mir ganz gut bekannt. Sie knackt noch wie in früher Zeit und sagt zum Mensch, halt dich bereit. Knick, knack, knick, knack. Von Stund zu Stund eilt hier die Zeit und tragt uns noch der Ewigkeit. That's a good poem. Shout out to Isaac Stahr for that. I really like that, especially that last two lines. Boy, doesn't it feel that way? Because it is. So there's your poem for the month. This month, we'll actually get to our song that I want to play for you guys, and that is from our dear friend, my partner in crime, Chris LaRose. A couple of years ago, he was invited to do a tour in Germany, to the part of Germany where we come from. You're going to have to give me a second here to bring this on. And the song that I picked is from a live performance while he was over there. And it's a blues song. And for those of you that know Chris, he plays blues. He likes the blues. So this is his song, Cisnet wie sett. It's not how it should be is the translation. So let me pull myself out of the screen here so you guys can enjoy Chris LaRose, our good friend, performing some Pennsylvania Dutch blues music for you.
Ich kleine Weißbrot nur bist du mein und ich will dein gut ich weiß du brauchst du gleich nicht mehr ist nicht wie es sag mir was ist nicht mit dir und ich doch ist nicht mit mir sag's mir doch gleich du bist du frei. Oh, ich weiß, du brauchst du gleich nicht mehr. Ist nicht wie es wäre. Doch selber wo klappt es noch, macht dein Herz sich Stein. Und nimm mir mein. Oh, ich weiß, du brauchst ihn gleich wie jetzt, ist nicht wie es ist.
So a little Pennsylvania Dutch style blues. How's that from our good friend, Chris LaRose? That kid, he's not kid anymore. Holy cow. He's getting old. Oh my gosh. Well, people, we're getting to the end of the show. It's another month. Can you believe it? Oh, a couple of people have put some stuff in the lines here. I'd like to. Lamar Miller says, hello from Hanover. Can't beat Family Style. You know, Family Style is good. I am a fan. There's people that don't like it, but I'm a fan. Chuck says, I know where Egypt, Mexico, and Peru are. Yes, all in Pennsylvania. Carol says, hey, thanks, Candace, for the great memories. How true was that? I'm sure it brought back some really good memories for a lot of people. Derek Keller says, hello, fun Wind Gap. Mock Scoot, you got it. Chuck R says, Constu, include references to the books where the poetry comes. Oh, Chuck. Well, you know, a lot of these poems are in various collections all over the place that I pick every month. A lot of them come from, well, yeah, I guess I will make a conscientious effort to tell everybody each month where each poem comes from. I know that the poem that I read tonight, actually, Chuck, comes from this book. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, called and Pennsylvanisch Deutschjahr. This was put to a Pennsylvania Dutch year. This was put together by Professor Earl C. Haig, the famous Pennsylvania Dutch professor from Penn State Schuylkill. He published this book, came out a long time ago, actually 1990. So it's quite an old publication. I don't even know if you can buy this anymore. But this is full of a bunch of different poems that he collected. There's a couple others that the Pennsylvania German Society have put together over the years, but we're talking publications from the 60s and 70s and 50s, even some from the 40s and 30s. But I'll make a conscientious effort, Chuck, in the future to anytime I give a poem that I'll give you the shout out where I got it from. So there we go. Oh, thanks for making me do that, Chuck. It's important. I should do that. Hey, would you like to get your own? The holidays are right around the corner, people. Right around the corner. And if you have that one person that's like, I have no idea what to get this person for Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever it is they celebrate, and they're Pennsylvania Dutch, hey, check out our Zazzle shop. Go to Zazzle.com, PA Dutch 101, where you can find our merchandise, t-shirts, sweatshirts, stickers, magnets. We got some brand new stuff up there. I just uploaded our Elbedrich shirt and our Save the Elbedrich magnets you could put on your refrigerator or on your car. You could get an Out in the Light shirt or a Schnickel Fritz shirt. And again, through Zazzle, you can get any of these types of things and then put on other things like stickers, like magnets, like t-shirts, sweatshirts. There's a lot of cool things you can get there. I'm going to be trying. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it this year, but I'm going to try to make some Pennsylvania Dutch Christmas cards. And if I don't get them posted this year, then my hope is definitely for next year. But check out the website, Zazzle.com/PA Dutch 101 that you can get. They're great gifts or gifts for yourself. You need something for the Schnickel, for the bell Schnickel to lay under the tree, pick it up at our shop. If you like what we do here and you'd like to financially support us, you can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Doug Mainford. Or if you'd like to become a monthly patron, you can do that through our Patreon account. Just go to patreon.com/PA Dutch 101. For as little as $1 a month, you can become a patron to the show. I'd like to give a quick shout out to many people that have financially supported us since our last episode. Real quick shout outs too, and I apologize if I say your name incorrectly. Evan Zundel, Nathan Seeger, Seth Moak, Norman Young, Charlize, Scott Vanek, Glenn Ritter, David Hunsinger, Dolly Moyer, Gary Johansson, Gail Spilsbury, Bill Nace, Susan Thomas, Tanya, Big Z2, Leoso, Lenora Holt, and Kyan Janukowski. Thank you so much for your financial support of keeping the lights on here at PA Dutch Live. And finally, mark your calendars. You don't have to wait as long as you did for this episode. In 2 short weeks, we will be back on November 13th, and I'm pulling out all the stops on the organ for this one, because I have finally, after many, many months of trying to get this guy as a guest, we've been able to make our schedules line up, and we are going to be welcoming on Dr. Mark Loudon. Dr. Mark Loudon is a current professor of German and a doctor of German at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. You say, what's it have to do with Pennsylvania Dutch, Doug? Well, Dr. Loudon is a fluent Pennsylvania Dutch speaker, and most of his academic research has been done in regards to Pennsylvania Dutch. And he is the author of what I consider the seminal book right now on the Pennsylvania Dutch language called Pennsylvania Dutch, An American Language, which is available through Amazon and a couple other bookstores online. We will have him on to talk about that book for sure, and how he describes and tells the story of our Pennsylvania Dutch language to people that are not Pennsylvania Dutch. I am beyond excited to have him as a guest. It's the big deal. It's the big deal. So hopefully you guys will be able to join us on November the 13th at 6 p.m. And if you miss any live streams, all of our shows are archived on the YouTube channel, so you can just watch them whenever. Wake up tomorrow morning, get your cup of coffee, and you can rewatch tonight's episode. Or if you missed an episode, we've been doing this since 2021. We have 3 years worth of episodes on there, closing in on, I think, 36 or 37 episodes now. So definitely, if you've missed one, go back and watch one. They're full of great stuff, just like we had tonight with Candace Perry. I can't wait to be with you guys in less than 2 weeks, or right around 2 weeks. If you're going trick-or-treating tomorrow night, good luck. I'm going to be taking my children out. And as my son said to me tonight, Dad, Dottie, you don't need your mask tomorrow night. Yeah, that's who he is. He's just like me. He's definitely my son. I had a laugh, but at the same time, I was like, that's a good one. That's a good one. But if you're going out trick-or-treating tomorrow night, have fun. And I will see you all in 2 short weeks, right back here at PA Dutch 101. In the meantime, follow along on social media, Facebook, the YouTube channel, of course, Instagram, and on X, PA Dutch 101. I hope we all survive the election next week here in the United States. It could be an interesting couple of days here in our country. I think we're going to be just fine. I have faith. The better angels of our nature, right, are going to come through here on this, hopefully, and not have any craziness happen. But until then, dear friends, and until the 13th, bleib gesund, stay healthy, hab Spaß, have some fun, and as we always say in Pennsylvania Dutch, mach's gut.
Mach's gut zu dir, mach's gut zu dir, mach's gut zu dir für now. Unsere Zeit ist all und so es ist, mach's gut für now. Hoff wieder mit dir zu sein, hoff du bringst zurück ein Freund. Mach's gut zu dir, mach's gut zu dir, mach's gut zu dir für now. Unsere Zeit ist all und so es ist, mach's gut für now. Hoff wieder mit dir zu sein, hoff du bringst zurück ein Freund. Und so mach's gut, lieber Freund, mach's gut.